Rory Mahoney of Medicine Hat. You can win a 2010 Nissan Rogue if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game, thanks to Safeway's touchdown to win promotion. And if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. Let's take it now to Regina. Here again, Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, David. The Stampeders have won 7 straight. The Roughriders unbeaten at home. Something's got to give as Calgary collides with Saskatchewan at sold-out Mosaic Stadium, and fall weather has arrived for this critical West Division clash. It's a chilly 6 degrees, and temperatures will dip, and that wind makes it even more brisk with a gust up to 40 kilometers an hour.
Darian Durant leads the league in passing yards, but coming off a season low against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the heat is on the offense in Saskatchewan. The other sideline, Henry Burris, the #1 quarterback in the Canadian Football League right now, 23 touchdowns and 14 in his last 6 games.
John Hufnagel's 9-1 Stamps won the first meeting 40-20. Win here, and they'll really take a stranglehold on the West Division. Ken Miller's team has won their last 9 at home, including the West Final last year against Calgary, trying to bounce back from a 2-point effort in the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. Hugh Charles is in the lineup for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he's back with Stu Ford to accept the opening kickoff as the fans come to their feet here at Mosaic to exhort the home team that's been in a bit of a funk.
Well, they met in week 5, a 40-20 loss for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but 5-0 at home, which was something John Hufnagel reminded everyone of.
I'd like to say hello to the folks watching on the NFL Network tonight. We're underway. Big clash in the West, and it's Hugh Charles up over the 30-yard line, and Charles reaching to the 35 as he will take the kick responsibilities from Dominique Dorsey, now on the injured list, as Darian Durant leads the offense out.
Hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in 3 games now and counting. We mentioned Hugh Charles. He is in the lineup and will play at times on offense. There's the new receiver in for Preche Rodriguez, Kerry Koch at wide receiver. And on the offensive line, Chris Best will have to try and handle Tom Johnson and Devon Claybrooks.
From the 35, second read over the middle, it's complete. It'll be short of a first down. Andy Fanteau's jolted by Milt Collins.
Defensively, the Calgary Stampeders, the #1 defense in Canadian football. There's Devon Claybrooks, who I mentioned. A couple sacks in the last couple of games for him. The linebacking core with Juwan Simpson in the middle, leading the team in tackles. And Brandon Smith in the secondary. 4 interceptions his last 2 games and on fire.
Chris Sarka into the game at fullback on second and less than a yard. And Sarka, who took a hellacious hit last Sunday in Winnipeg, will fall forward for the first down.
A lot of heat on Darian Durant, Chris, and this offense coming off the loss to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a 31-2 drubbing in the Banjo Bowl, and his numbers plummeting in the last 6, down to 57.9%. He was well over 60 in the first part of the season, and that touchdown to interception ratio a real concern in these parts.
First down, handoff, and Wes Cates up to the 50-yard line. Cates, who has been held in check in consecutive games with 15 and 18 yards rushing in his last 2 starts.
Boy, has he ever. And this is an area of concern. When you don't have your running game and you don't have Wes Cates rolling like they did early in the season. Remember, he had 200-yard games in his first 3. Then you're in second along a ton on offense, and that's been the Saskatchewan Roughriders' problem.
2nd and 7 here. Bunch formation to the wide side. Durant time, and it's intercepted. Milt Collins has got it. Gets by Durant, and Collins will score. Interception for a touchdown by Milt Collins. And Calgary has struck first on a 54-yard interception return.
Second interception for Milt Collins, who's going to battle with, I believe it was Andy Fantus, to get better position on the inside. When you throw that interception as a quarterback, Darian Durant now has to try and make the tackle. He overruns it, and Milton Collins, first points of this game tonight.
Collins' second touchdown of the year. Both have come against Saskatchewan. Second touchdown in his CFL career. He had a fumble recovery for a major in Hamilton last year. Rob Maver, the point after. And the Stamps have quelled the crowd at Mosaic with an early Collins touchdown. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the Canadian Football League. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right. The Calgary Stampeders lead the league in points off turnovers, now 107, thanks to the interception return for a touchdown by Milt Collins.
Milt Collins was a receiver in college at Ole Miss, and he showed a little bit of that instinct on that interception.
Big boot, and again, it will be Hugh Charles from just inside his 5. And Charles fights his way up to the 30-yard line. Another look at the Durant interception.
Well, Andy Fantus is trying to run what's called a bang route. Here he is right here in the formation. I'll show you what that means. As he hits the line of scrimmage, he's going to get straight man-to-man coverage from Milton Collins. And that bang route goes out to the outside like that and then bangs in. And he's hoping to get Collins on his outside shoulder. Well, you'll see Collins fights for that inside position. He maintains it inside and is the first guy to the football.
So it's 6 straight interceptions for Durant since his last touchdown pass. We'll go back to work here, down by 7. Take it! Looks one way and gets flushed, looks downfield, and Rob Baggs got it at the Calgary 50-yard line.
15th interception for Darian Durant, and now he's got to try and bounce back. Well, this is a great start for Durant to do that, and he does it by extending the play, getting outside the pocket, and then looking for Rob Bagg.
.28 for Durant to Bagg at a first down up at the 52. Toss to the left side. Cates tries to turn the corner. Juwan Simpson, the middle linebacker, who's had an outstanding season, as so many of those Stampeder defenders have, was there to greet him.
Last week, 5 tackles, 3 sacks for Juwan Simpson. Outstanding game, and leads this team in tackles with 37 coming into this game tonight. It's a group without a lot of big stars. I mean, you could look at the corners, probably Brandon Browner and Dwight Anderson as the biggest names, but collectively the best defense in the CFL.
Couple for Cates. 2nd and 8. And Durant taking a shot. Weston Dressler has got it down to the 5 and drops the ball, and now ruling incomplete. Looked like he caught that in traffic, but Wes Lysak helping with Brandon Smith in coverage. And they're ruling no catch.
Yeah, it was almost that catch that was made by Ben Cahoon last year here in Saskatchewan, where he was trying to pin the ball on the back of the helmet of Wes Lysak down the middle. Now he's right down the seam. He's pinned the ball to his helmet. And as they go to the ground, it comes out just as they go to the ground and ruled incomplete.
And the challenge flag has come out from the Saskatchewan bench. You wouldn't normally think that's control, but you're right, we did see Ben Cahoon make that kind of catch here last year.
Well, the difference, though, is that Ben Cahoon had both hands on it, and he had control as they hit the ground. Now, this ball ends up coming out and is loose, so the contact with the ground, he never sustained control as he hit the ground, and I'm not sure you can constitute that as control with one hand on the ball against the helmet of an opponent.
And the field judge
challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass. We'll review the play.
There's Murray Clark. Field judge Daryl Barron was right on the scene. but they will take a look at it with the ball down around the 5-yard line. Ken Miller going to take a chance here and get that great field position if he can.
Well, the first question is, would you consider that control by Weston Dressler? I'm not sure you can, with one hand on it as it's moving around on the back of the helmet of Wes Lysak. And then he doesn't maintain that limited control on the ground.
Review. The ruling on the field stands. It is an incomplete pass. Third down.
That is the call, and it'll be third down. Eddie Johnson and the punt team are on for the Roughriders. Wind at the back of the Stampeders here in the first quarter.
We should have a TV timeout. We should have a TV timeout.
Johnson's second best in net punting in the CFL. And that ball allowed to drop. Dion Murphy fielding it at the 6, and the Stampeders will start deep in their own zone when Henry Burris and the offense go to work. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan. Shift the way you move. 44-yard punt by Eddie Johnson. Henry Burris and the Calgary Stampeders offense will start at their own 6-yard line. Burris coming off his best game of the year, 404 yards. And Player of the Week honors last Friday against the Eskimos. Fake to Reynolds. In trouble and dropped. Luke Mullender close to the line of scrimmage. Drops Henry Burris.
Been a few games for Luke Mullender to get back in the sack department, and in that sack race he has 3 on the season coming in. I'm not sure if this will be called a sack. Did Henry Burris cross the line of scrimmage? Either way, a nice play defensively for Luke Mullender.
No sack, no gain, 2nd and 10. 5 receivers out. Burris steps up, and that ball is incomplete off the fingertips of Nick Lewis. 2 and out, and the Roughriders needed that.
Decision time for John Hufnagel early on is whether or not he will kick the ball out of the end zone. Boy, Henry Burris got some kind of reception from this home crowd. Of course, the former Saskatchewan Roughriders, I know it was some time ago for Burris, but every time he comes back, the crowd lets him hear it.
Burke Dale's in his end zone. Weston Dressler will handle punt return duties for the Roughriders. In the absence of Dominic Dorsey, will they get a chance here? The wind is at the back of the Stampeder punter. Number 1 in the league, 45.7. He'll kick it away, and not a good one. But a good bounce, and it will go out around midfield. They'll mark it at the Stampeder 53. Friday Night Football in Regina, and on the sideline, Sarah Orleski.
Chris, you guys have talked about the heat that the Riders are under right now, and Darian Durant echoed those sentiments. After losses to Edmonton and Winnipeg, he said that the feeling around town has kind of been like that of a funeral. He still has fans coming up and talking to him all the time, but now it's what's wrong with the offense? Why isn't this or that working? He said it's almost as if sometimes you want to say to them, it's not like we're trying to lose, but other guys are earning paychecks as well, and you got to give credits to the other team sometime. But he did point out that nothing would help things more than a big win tonight against these Stamps.
Have good field position to start here. Durant wants to go deep again and overthrows Weston Dressler.
Yeah, it's been a tough one to figure out when you look at the offense for the for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a team that was, of course, in the Grey Cup a year ago. Now, the offensive coordinator, different a year ago, was Paul LaPolice. This year, Doug Barry. And I'm sure that relationship between Doug Barry and Darian Durant continues to evolve. And they want to continue to have that improve as this season goes on.
wanted to improve first down production. They were 2nd and 10 19 times in Winnipeg. 2nd and 10 here. Here comes the heat. That ball overthrown over the head of Rob Bagg on the crosser. And that's a 2-and-out for the Roughriders.
That is the issue, Chris. And 19 times a week ago of 21 second down situations, they were in 2nd down and 10 or more. And you could see pretty good coverage from Calgary across the board. That was going to be a ball that Darian Durant would have to thread the needle in. But if you're in 2nd and long that much, you're not winning many games.
So Eddie Johnson will try and pin Calgary for a 2nd time. And Murphy at his 10. Flag down as Ted Cornegay helps bring Murphy down at the 21-yard line. And we'll see what Murray Clark's crew has.
On the return, holding. Calgary number 80. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Johnny Forzani. And again, the Stampeders offense backed up here early in the opening quarter.
Over 60% the completion percentage for Henry Burris. John Cornish will rotate in with Joffrey Reynolds in the backfield. Romby Bryant, big game against Saskatchewan a few weeks back. We had 116 receiving yards, and there's big Edwin Harrison at right tackle.
Starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona doing it right. Here's Joffrey Reynolds, the all-time Calgary Stampeder leading rusher, and not much there as this Rider defense is fired up.
Well, the guy that will try and control the run game in the front 7 with the help of that defensive line will be the middle linebacker in Barron Simpson, who 2 games straight now has 21 tackles by himself in the last 2 games. And in the middle of the secondary is James Patrick with 7 interceptions that leads the CFL and should have 9.
Riders send in an extra defensive back, 2nd and 10. Burst to throw, and over the middle he has a completion and a big first down to Kenyon Rambo. In his 7th start, was not in the lineup in the first meeting of the year between these 2 teams.
He's going to find that spot across the middle just in front of James Patrick, the safety, who dropped deep in that particular defense, number 14 right here. I mentioned that he should have 9. He had 2 interceptions last week that were called back due to penalty. So he still leads the league with 7, but should have 9.
Stampeders at 587 yards of offense a week ago against Edmonton. And there's Rambo with it. He is upended by Omar Morgan and Daniel Francis, limiting the pickup.
You talk about these 2 teams and the differences offensively. And Kenyon Rambo, one of a great receiving core, with Nick Lewis, Romby Bryant, and R.J. Franklin. Those are Kenyon Rambo numbers in 6 games. He did not, as you mentioned, Chris, start the season.
Jabari Arthur checks in on that offense. 5 for Rambo and 2nd and 5. And it's into the hands of R.J. Franklin. It's a first down. Pulled down by Barron Simpson, another tackle for the league leader in that department.
Well, that first down alone is positive for Calgary in that it gets them out of that bad field position. So with a couple of first downs, the field position has now switched. And Calgary has that chance that even if they punt, they can flip the field.
So a 2nd down conversion. The Stampeders number 1 in that department. Rob Cote in motion. Fake to Reynolds. And there's Nick Lewis. And Lewis gets some extra yardage. Daniel Francis pulls him down in a flag near that Calgary bench. And did Francis grab Lewis's grill?
I think he did. That looks like a face mask on Daniel Francis, who's moved over to linebacker. Tad Cornegay playing out on the corner.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 35. 15 yards at the end of the play. First down.
They're calling that unnecessary roughness. It looked like Nick Lewis jumped up immediately and grabbed his own face mask, indicating that Daniel Francis had face masked him, but it looked like he might have grabbed the back of his helmet. as well.
So a 26-yard gain and 3 straight first downs. Burris throws. There's a good catch made, and Nick Lewis has another. Got a scare yesterday or a couple days ago in practice when he wrapped an elbow on a teammate's helmet, and he was in some difficulty, but back in form tonight.
A long way from his heart for Nick Lewis, and he put a Band-Aid on it, and he's back in there. But it was a scare, and this is a guy who's on pace for over 1,300 yards on the season.
Second and 3 at the Saskatchewan 42. Reynolds. Nice cut and a little extra power against Sean Lucas, and should be close to the first down.
6.1 yards a carry, and the one thing that you ask of your running back is that he makes the first man miss. And if Joffrey Reynolds on that play doesn't make the first man miss, it's a loss for the Calgary Stampeders, and they're going to have to kick. But Reynolds is not only good but great, and he does this in the backfield on his own. This is a loss, and I believe it was Luke Mullender. Nice move there. He moves the chains.
Coming off a season high 145 yards last Friday. Quick hitter, and Omar Morgan closed quickly on Romby Bryant. First catch of the night for number 83.
You know, when you think about the fact that Joffrey Reynolds is giving up the odd series in games to John Cornish and losing those carries because of it, I mean, he would certainly be leading the league in rushing if he got all the carries in this offense. John Cornish will get every other series, 2 for Reynolds, 1 for Cornish.
Ninth play of the drive, and 2nd and 7. Big heat, they swing it out. Reynolds, another first down, tripped up at the 25-yard line.
Boy, this is a fine, well-oiled machine when you look at this offense for the Calgary Stampeders and just the different ways that they attack you. We've seen running plays straight up the middle to Joffrey Reynolds. That time they quickly swung him out of the backfield. Really just a glorified pitch out for Joffrey Reynolds as Burris quickly 1, 2, 3 steps, and then he gets that ball out in space. Nice blocking downfield. Kenyon Rambo, Nick Lewis, they're all going to pick up somebody. Give Joffrey Reynolds a couple of extra yards.
Stamps are rolling. Play action fake, and that pass incomplete. Intended for Romby Bryant.
Great play calling again in this drive for Dave Dickinson. He knew one thing at the start of this drive. He was backed up twice in his own end zone. John Hufnagel elected to punt. His defense got the stop, but he needed to get out of that negative field position. He's done that. Even if this drive ends in a field goal, it's a real positive one for the Stampeders with regards to the field position they were in.
So 2nd and 10 on the 11th play of the drive. Here comes pressure. Burris gets it away, and it'll be short of the first down. Jabari Arthur the catch, but Tad Cornegay was tracking him and drops him short of the first down.
Yeah, he had to go a long way, and it was a good open field tackle by Tad Cornegay. Mr. Versatility for this Saskatchewan defense, a guy who can play almost anywhere and has played linebacker, halfback, and currently is out there at the wide side corner, but he came all the way from the wide side of the field and makes a real good open field tackle, or Jabari Arthur moves the chains again.
How about the diversity on the drive? 6 different receivers catch passes, and now Rob Maver called upon. Maver's been in a bit of a funk, but he's got that one, the first of the night. And the Stampeders lead is 10. CFL on TSN continues tomorrow night from Vancouver. The Tiger Cats roll into Empire to take on the Lions. Live coverage 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific with the Samsung pregame show. That should be a good one.
Yeah, this province not happy that Stevie Baggs, the former Saskatchewan Roughrider, signed with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Don't think he'll play in that game tomorrow.
And he heard about it on Facebook from his former fans here. Lions starting to heat up. Rob Maver kicking it downfield, and here's Hugh Charles. And Charles working his way across the 30, close to the 35-yard line. So just over a minute remaining in this first quarter, and it has not gone well for Darian Durant and the Roughriders.
You know, I talked to Ken Miller about what he thought were some of the issues with the offense, and you know, it was pretty simple for him. He said they just have to take what the defense is giving them. I know that's a cliche that's heard many times, but he said at times we're trying to go for that deep ball a little too often. That takes longer in the pocket. It leaves our quarterback more vulnerable. If we just try and move the football methodically down the field, we should be able to settle in.
Doesn't look like protection's been an issue in his first quarter. Here's a quick hitter. Rob Bagg, intended target. Dwight Anderson in tight coverage. Well, we did ask the coach about what hasn't gone right of late on offense.
The thing that's going on with our offense right now is it seems like we're trying to score 12-point touchdowns. You know, and our offense has been pressing over the last little while, you know, the last 3 weeks or so. And we really shouldn't be pressing because we have a good set of receivers. We have a tremendous running back. Our quarterback is a star, or certainly a future star. So if we just take care of business, we should be fine.
Well, maybe if Darian Durant starts to take off a few more times and loosen up the defense, as he just did for 23 yards.
Well, it's been one thing or another over the last few weeks, but the one thing that has improved and is different than last year in a positive way is Darian Durant's running. I mean, he is on pace to surpass carries from last year and rushing yards from last year in a big way, and that's a huge first down.
Should be the final play of the opening quarter, and up at midfield, first down. Short drop. Will he take off again? Yes, he does. And Durant this time takes a hit and still falls forward for some extra yards, trying to pump up this Mosaic crowd and his offense. End of one. Stampeders with the lead. First quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
The numbers are similar between the two teams, but obviously the big difference being that one turnover. Milt Collins, interception for a touchdown, first 7 points of this game, or we're looking at a 3-point game.
Was 10-0 for Calgary last year in the Western Final. We know that turned around, and Darian Durant on that final play of the first quarter trying to turn things around. I'm not sure how many hits like that he should be taking, but
no, and that's the type of play, though, that can ignite not only the offense but the entire team. When you see your quarterback get out of the backfield like that, and rather than run out of bounds or hook slide, he takes on the hit. In fact, he's the hammer, not the nail in this case. That can pump up the entire sideline. The Riders were jumping up and down on the bench when that play happened, and Darian Durant delivered a blow.
9 on the play, so we start the second quarter. Wind at the back of the Roughriders, second and inches, and Durant will plunge forward and should have the first down.
I mentioned his rushing yards. He's on pace to beat what he did last year. In 2009, he had 60 carries for just over 500 yards. This year, he's on pace 86 for 640. Now, some of that is because he hasn't had quite as good as protection up front as he did last year. And he's been running for his life in some cases, but rushing numbers are up.
To the Stampeder 43, a first down, 6 receivers out. Pressure off the edge, and Bentus can't hang on. Jawan Simpson got a hit in on the quarterback as Simpson blitzed from his middle linebacker position.
Well, Dan Goodspeed couldn't really help here. There's Goodspeed there. He's got a guy that he's facing in right off the edge, untouched, is Jawan Simpson. And this is a matter of the quarterback getting rid of it before the hit, but it was just before.
So the Roughriders back in 2nd and 10. And Durant trouble with the snap, and he'll have to eat it back at the 49-yard line. So a promising drive has stalled Then it'll be third down.
And I don't think the snap was all that bad from Jeremy O'Day. It was just a matter of Darian Durant took his eyes off the ball for a split second to take a look at the coverage. And when he did that, he puts it down on the turf and then just has to try and recover it so there's no turnover. Now they get a little bit better field position with this punt.
Murphy back. Eddie Johnson. High kick looking for the corner. That one will bounce in the end zone. And Murphy does put a knee down, and it's the first point of the game for the Roughriders. Now a 10-1 score. Under his own steam. And Stampeders look at 2nd and 3. Back to John Cornish. And Cornish stuck that time behind the line of scrimmage. Kitwana Jones. Barron Simpson with the stop.
Leading tackler in the Canadian Football League was involved again in Barron Simpson. Whoop, not Adams. Barron Simpson to the right of your screen, and he's going to step up and again make one of those tackles with the help of Kitwana Jones. Let me show you. There is Adams, and we'll show you his injury. It's his own player, Keith Sholigan, who's going to roll on his ankle or knee on that left side.
So now Burke Dales will try and pin the Roughriders. Into the corner. Dressler let it go. And that one, a perfect kick into the corner. They'll mark it at the 1. Burke Dales spot on for the Stamps.
Saskatchewan Roughriders have lost 2 of their last 3, and when you do that as a team, you come together as a group or as a family in that locker room. This is the Saskatchewan Roughrider locker room, and this is their family board where you can put pictures up of your family members, your wife, your kids, your mom and dad, and this map shows where everyone in this football team comes from in North America, and it's a Ken Miller idea that he brought into the locker room to try and bring that team closer, keep the family in the forefront, and they're going to need that to be tight-knit group to come out of this.
Trying to come out of the shadows of their own goalpost here. And out of the backfield, Weston Dressler. And a flag comes down as he was jolted by Brandon Smith up at the 8-yard line.
Flag came out late after Dressler had caught the ball.
Legal interference, blocking downfield before the pass was caught. Saskatchewan number 89. We go to the 1-yard line, repeat first down.
So the field gets even longer. Chris Getzlaff called for the illegal block.
Dressler's coming out of the backfield from the left side. And down the field, you can see right here, Chris Getzlaff blocking before that ball is caught. And if Dressler is behind the line of scrimmage, it's okay to block. If he's across the line, you can't.
In his end zone, under pressure, open his Fantus up at the 25. And they get out of the hole.
And that throw was about a 65-yarder when you calculate in the width of the field. Darian Durant in his end zone on the hash to the right side of the field on the right side hash mark. He's got some pressure in his face. It looked like Brandon Isaac was close, and he guns one to the far side, wide side sideline. What a throw.
Through the goalposts and finds Fantus. Second catch of the game and a critical first down up at the 25. Hugh Charles is in the game. Durant throws downfield, and it's short of the intended target, Weston Dressler. And when we talked to Darian Durant yesterday, no secret that he wants to get 83 and 7 more involved than they've been in the last few weeks.
Well, no question with Weston Dressler, 689 yards coming in, a playmaker in a big way, and Fantus is the guy that continually will move the chains for you. He's great sense of time and space on the field.
So 2nd and 10 it is. Durant hit as he threw and the ball knocked down. Good break on the ball by Keon Raymond to knock it away from the intended target, Chris Getzlaff.
Yeah, Darian Durant hit a little bit, and it basically just threw off the accuracy on the throw a little. He's going to get Malik Jackson coming off the edge from the top of the line, number 11. Already has 5 sacks on the season, and just that pressure and being in his backyard affected the accuracy.
4 possessions, 4 straight punts for the Roughriders, and Eddie Johnson trying to boom one. Murphy back at his 30. Flag down as Murphy is brought down at the 38-yard line. And looked like a block on the play.
Versus Saskatchewan, Henry Burris just shy of 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. The last time these two teams met.
On the return, illegal block. Calgary number 80, 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's 2 against Johnny Forzani on the returns tonight.
He'll have a longer field here. He's coming off his best game of 2010 yardage-wise, certainly at 404 yards. The Stamps beat the Edmonton Eskimos and completed 83% in that one.
Dave Dickinson said he's still improving at 35 years of age, and he's never seen Henry Burris more accurate than we've seen him in recent weeks. They start at their 23. Pressure from Hawkins. Burris got it away. Joffrey Reynolds will get forced out by Daniel Francis. How about the strength of Burris to get that away with Hawkins all over him?
Power rush from the edge from Brent Hawkins working on Ben Archibald. He is in that down 3-point position, and watch just his drive and power. He's got low center of gravity, keeps his pad level low and keeps his feet churning, and somehow Burris got it out of there to save the loss.
Hawkins looking for his first sack in 5 games. But Burris avoids that, and they pick up 2, 2nd and 8. Running out of time. And in trouble. Burris escapes downfield. And is it intercepted? Francis looks like he's got it. The Stampeder bench say incomplete. And the officials will sort it out.
It only matters what the guy in the striped shirt says.
And they say incomplete as well.
Well, and Daniel Francis wants Ken Miller to challenge this.
One unsuccessful challenge already in this first half.
Let's take another look at it. See if Daniel Francis, if this is an argument he should be making. And that looked like that might have touched the ground. He's juggling with it, never really has possession.
No challenge, Dressler. That is 43. And Dressler will be brought down quickly. Rob Cote leading the downfield cover team.
You know, players have to be careful when they try and talk their coaches into throwing those challenge flags. You want to make sure you save challenges. You don't want to lose a timeout. You certainly don't want to burn them if it's not going to be a chance to win. I don't think Daniel Francis had possession of that ball. Ken Miller did get a quick look and decided not to challenge.
For the Roughriders to work from their 48. More pressure, Durant downfield, Fantuz wide open. And then drops the ball. And who's got it? I think the Stamps have come up with it. A real fight for it down there. And did Milt Collins grab the ball? They're ruling. Fantuz has got it. Wes Lysak caused the fumble, and they're still fighting for it down there. Labinjo and O'Day jostling.
One official has signaled Saskatchewan football.
Even Weston Dressler involved here, trying to get at somebody.
Wes Lysak, the safety, was the player who knocked it out of the hands of Andy Fantus.
And Ken Miller onto the field to play peacemaker.
They're going to continue to discuss this and make sure they have the angle of every official.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan number 6. Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Calgary number 12. They spot the ball there, first down.
So from the pile, Fantus out-wrestled Collins to get it back. The penalties negate each other, and it's a big first down for the Roughriders at the Calgary 26.
And a good call by the officials with the pushing and shoving at the end of it to give one to each team, and doesn't affect the game, and you move on.
36-yard gain, but now we get the challenge from the Stampeder bench. And it will be hard to determine underneath that pile when play was dead and who did have the football when it was ruled down.
But you can't challenge who recovers it. You can only challenge whether or not it's a fumble. And it was clearly a fumble.
And last week there was a challenge
on who fumbled it, and you can't.
And it was an error, and the teams were all advised afterwards that
no, you can't challenge who recovered the ball. That's a decision made by the officials on the spot, and the indication was Saskatchewan football after they discussed it.
I think Murray Clark's telling him you can't challenge that again. I believe Hamilton got a challenge in like that last week.
Calgary is challenging the ruling on the field of who recovered the ball. That aspect is not subject to challenge. Calgary will be charged with a delay of game penalty, 10 yards. First down.
So it is a penalty against John Huffnagel for an illegal challenge.
Well, when that happened last week, all the teams were sent the memo that recovering the fumble, who recovered it, is not a challengeable play.
So a break for the Roughriders, as the ball is now marked at the Calgary 16. First time in the red zone for Saskatchewan tonight.
They weren't there last week, not once.
Here comes pressure. They get it away, looking for Dressler, and overthrew him by a stride.
That's been the issue for Saskatchewan over the last 3 or 4 games, where Darian Durant has had the potential to make some big plays down the field and has just missed his target. Now again, he is under duress with pressure in front of him. Charleston Hughes got there.
Didn't get beyond the 26 in Winnipeg last week. 2nd and 10 from the Stampeders 16. Can't bring down Durant, but now he's dropped for a loss, but there are flags down in the Stampeder end zone. Back to a couple of penalties. Penalty flags on the field here at Mosaic.
A little trash talking between Malik Jackson and Darian Durant. I'm sure Jackson said, I caught you from behind. Now Dwight Anderson getting involved.
Contact on the receiver. Calgary number 33. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Dwight Anderson, the culprit, and he was in the face of Darian Durant at the end of that play. So penalty-aided drive, a couple of big plays to Fantus.
Let's take a look at the penalty. There's Dwight Anderson. And bunch formation, so he's trying to pick up his man, and it's going to be Rob Bagg, and there's no question that's illegal contact. That's a straight-out tackle.
So 1st and goal from the 8. Fantus and Dressler both in motion. And a direct snap, Tate, touchdown!
deception from Doug Barry, the offensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, to go with the direct snap to Wes Cates. And Darian Durant sold it. All eyes and focus on Darian Durant, number 4.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan number 6. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Calgary 33. Those are after the play. Touchdown stands.
So Wes Cates, the touchdown leader, has number 12 on the year. Direct snap on an 8-yard run to get the Roughriders back in it.
You have to be good salesmen in plays like that. Darian Durant was just that.
He has the extra point. And now the Stampeders lead by 2.
Watch Darian Durant sell this to the defensive line for the Stamps, as he's just going to look like he has that football, take 4 or 5 steps back. The Stamps go up the field in their pass rush lanes, and Wes Cates is by him.
Former Stampeder into the end zone. What we saw in the last few plays, Glenn, something you asked Ken Miller about yesterday. There was a lot more pre-snap motion than we've seen from the Roughriders. That used to be their trademark.
Now, they talked a little bit about it, that they want to get back to what they were doing more of last year, and that was that pre-snap, especially on first down, to get themselves in manageable situations, and we've started to see more of that here tonight. So Doug Barry going back to some of the things that worked last year, and then really adding a wrinkle when he goes direct snap to Wes Cates for that final touchdown. So starting to mix things up offensively.
So just 4 plays, they drive 62 yards, and the Roughriders have their first touchdown. After being held to 2 points last week in the Banjo Bowl. Eddie Johnson with a long kickoff. Murphy back at his 2. Murphy's got some room near side, and Johnson will angle him out at the 38-yard line.
Let's go back to that touchdown for Wes Cates. Now, when you see Wes Lysak here, don't worry about him. He's vacating. Now, Durant's going to come and fake it this way with Cates hitting it in the line. And watch to the left of your screen, Devon Claybrooks and Charleston Hughes both going in their pass rush lanes up the field here. They have to try and cut off Darian Durant in case he has the football. Well, they're fooled, and Wes Cates is long gone.
At the 38. Burris took a hit, but swings it out. And Nick Lewis brought down by the safety, James Patrick. Pickup of about 4.
There's your touchdown leaders in the CFL. Wes Cates with his 12th. Starting to create a little distance between he and S.J. Green over in Montreal.
Rough Rider record is 18, set back in 1955 by Ken Carpenter. Cates on pace to shatter that mark. 2nd and 6. Off the edge, shot Lucas, and the pass knocked down. And a 2-and-out.
Chris, I want to go back a play before that last one, because on the play, Brent Hawkins, one of the dominant pass rushers for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, injures his shoulder. That's that little swing pass. Now, he's had some issues with that shoulder over the last couple of weeks. He quickly went to the sideline. Remember, Marcus Adams was hurt early in the interior of the D-line. Now Brent Hawkins injured.
3rd 2-and-out of the game for the Stamps. 2nd in a row. Dressler dropped down at the 33-yard line. Rob Cote, first man to meet him. Let's go to the sidelines. Here's Sarah Orleski.
Chris, we talk a lot about the Stamps defense, and we can't talk about them without mentioning the architect of it, defensive coordinator Chris Jones. His players describe him as everything from a guru to a workaholic. And Devon Claybrooks, who played under Jones when they were both with the Alouettes, said he thinks that he puts in even more hours now than he did when they were in Montreal. He thinks that the success that he's had really fuels Jones. His players also say that you have to be able to pick things up very quickly when it comes to him, because Jones has been known to put up schemes on the sidelines and implement them in games on a dime's notice.
See what they can do here. They're looking deep. Dressler behind coverage. Foot race. Did Collins catch him? Down to the 5, and Dressler dropped. No, touchdown. Broke the plane. And just like that, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have the lead on a 77-yard touchdown pass.
Well, it looked like Brandon Smith gambled and tried to play for the interception. He came underneath. Now, my question, though, is, did Weston Dressler cross the plane at the goal line? I know he was close, tackled by Milt Collins, but did he cross the plane? Did that football cross the plane before he went in? And I don't think it did.
Now we'll wait for a challenge from the Stampeders sidelines. And I don't know if we're going to get one. They'll kick away. Point after from Conji's good. Longest career reception for Weston Dressler. Number 7 for 77.
Let's take a look at the play first. And it looked like to me it was Brandon Smith who's going to gamble. Here's the one-on-one. As Weston Dressler, who loves this corner route, doesn't do anything fancy with it. He just wants to get to the sideline as quick as possible. Brandon Smith, who's had a couple of interceptions of late, tries to play the football, misjudges it. Now, Dressler didn't look like he got in. Little corner route right here. And John Huffnagel likely doesn't throw the challenge flag there, because when you're on the doorstep, the 1-yard line, you're likely going to get scored on anyway. He's already used one, wasted it, and was penalized for trying to challenge a play that he couldn't. Decided not to there.
So back-to-back touchdowns for the Roughriders here in the second quarter. And the touchdown drought for Darian Durant has ended after going without for 3 games, and that ball into the end zone, and it's going to stay in play, and this means a single point. So suddenly everything going the Roughriders' way.
You talked about Darian Durant's slump for touchdown passes coming into the game. It was 108 attempts, so he bumps that slump with a touchdown to Weston Dressler. And by the sounds of what he just said, they may come back to that corner route.
Well, he had a drought of big plays, and all of a sudden, a 77-yarder, and just the 5th completion of the night for Darian Durant.
Here comes the 13th man.
John Cornish in the offense for the Stamps. And it's Cornish on the right side, and Barron Simpson stepped up and chalks up another tackle as we get the 3-minute warning here at Mosaic. .257 left first half. Then it's GM Sierra live at the half. Milt Stegall subbing in for an ailing Chris Schultz tonight. Lots to talk about. This game has turned as the Western Final did last year when Calgary had an early 10-point lead. 2nd and 7, and some early movement, and the fans getting loud here at Mosaic.
Yeah, and I think they didn't have the first down markers completely set coming out of that break, and they wanted to stop the play because of it.
There's no infraction on the play. The play had been blown dead. 2nd down.
So they'll reset and reboot. Mike McCullough part of that second and long defensive package. In for the Roughriders is Henry Burris. Surveys the Riders front. Gets away, an open man, and a catch made. Dion Murphy down the sidelines. That's a big first down for the Stamps.
Well, and it's allowed to happen for Calgary because Henry Burris is able to extend the play. There was a pretty good pass rush by what is a real undersized defense all of a sudden for Saskatchewan. Keep in mind they have two defensive linemen, two starters out of the linebacking or out of the defensive line corps, so Burris buys some time there.
7 different receivers. Marcus Adams has just checked back into the game. No Brent Hopkins. Burris steps up. He goes long, looking for Robbie Bryant. Incomplete, but a flag on Tad Cornegay. Pass interference against the Roughriders.
Well, I know Saskatchewan Roughrider fans are going to be upset when they see the replay of this one.
Saskatchewan number 24. Ball spotted at the point of foul. First down.
A little bit of contact by Tad Cornegay, and we've got a great look at it for you. There's the little grab. Now, the flag is not thrown out. Keep in mind, that's slow motion. He does stumble and give him a little more contact at the point of attack, but when the ball arrives,
41-yard, 41-yard penalty. And a first down at the Roughrider 11. Cornish straight ahead. John Cornish still powering his way down to the 1, and that should be a first down for Calgary.
It's a big play set up by a pass interference call, and there's no question Tad Cornegay did close his hand on the jersey, and if that's what the official saw, even though it was brief, you classify that as interference, and now Stamps right on this doorstep.
Well, they mark it just short of the 1-yard line, so it will be a 9-yard pickup. 2nd and 1. Field goal on their first trip to the red zone. And now the Roughriders call timeout.
Well, I watched Marcus Adams, who you mentioned, Chris, did get back in a couple of plays ago, but he was not effective in his pass rush at all. He barely put any weight on that leg. Now, with him at half speed and no Brent Hopkins, this defense gets small in a hurry. I mean, when you substitute Kitwana Jones, you're losing 25, 30 pounds on the D line. You're going to see more of Jarrell Freeman, who is basically a linebacker, and more of Mike McCullough, also a linebacker at 226.
You see the rookie Shamari Williams also in. As they dig in on 2nd and 1. Stamps two-back, Cote in motion. Burris plunging ahead. Burris near the goal line, and any indication yet? None from the officials, but that should be enough for a first down.
Now Kitwana Jones just has to find his helmet. This is the bottom of that pile somewhere. Well, full credit for the Riders on that play. Consider they are undersized. They're missing their starting defensive end and have a half-speed Marcus Adams right in the middle, and there's Kitwana Jones trying to regroup.
Not sure he's found his helmet yet. A whack in the mouth, too. A little smash mouth down there. Didn't know he was running for Mayer.
Now they'll mark the ball to see if they have the first, which they do, and then the ball will be placed back on the 1-yard line. And for the reason for that, for people watching on the NFL Network, is you have to be a yard off the line of scrimmage. The defense sets 1 yard away.
can't put a hand beyond the yellow paint. First and goal. John Cornish didn't get there. Or did he? It'll be second down. And Joffrey Reynolds will check in.
Kyle Stewart, a linebacker in there as well. Let's watch. Barron Simpson, number 2 in the middle of your screen. He's going to lead it into that hole. Boy, he's been dynamite again tonight. John Cornish tried to reach over with the football, but stopped right there by middle linebacker Barron Simpson.
4 changes on the Rough Rider defense, and number 4 in for the Calgary Stampeders. And I think John Huffnagel may call timeout here to consider this second and goal. No, he's going to wave them on.
Timeout.
Oh, no, timeout has been called. So Reynolds in, Tate in, after the first try from the 1 is unsuccessful. Of course, Drew Tate, the former Saskatchewan Roughrider, a couple of years here, did not take any snaps in game action in those 2 years.
I'm still the one that would like to see offenses down on the 1-yard line, go with their regular offense, spread things out, and hand the ball off to your running back. Let him go one-on-one with the linebacker, and if it's Joffrey Reynolds, you got to like your chances, but the team's still bringing in the big guys.
Andrew Tate trying to plunge ahead, breaks the plane, touchdown, Stampeders. Third touchdown of the year for Drew Tate. Man, he's got a fan here in Calgary, or in Regina.
Drew Tate out of Iowa picks the spot. Looked like the left side, right behind Dan Comiskey and Ben Archibald. And the Calgary Stampeders on that play, Chris, did go with their regular receiver set in the game. So they took out what's usually called the elephant set, the double tight ends, and they put in their receivers. That meant Saskatchewan put in more defensive backs, and Drew Tate took the quarterback sneak and got to pay dirt.
In limited time, Drew Tate has 3 touchdowns. He's thrown for 4. Maver will attempt to boot. Calgary back in front. 17-16 Stampeders with 95 seconds remaining here in the first half.
When you look at the Stampeders and their 9-1 record, teams have been very close at halftime, and Chris Jones is one of the best in the business, going in at halftime, making adjustments, and coming out and shutting teams down in the third quarter. When you look at the third quarter point totals, the Calgary Stampeders, 18 points in 10 games. That's less than a field goal a game. He makes adjustments at halftime. And 7 of 10 games, it's been within a touchdown this season, going in at the break. And let's see the Chris Jones defense coming out in the third quarter. And he's unhappy with the big play, I know, to Weston Dressler.
There's Hugh Charles back. Rough Riders plenty of time here in the second quarter to get the lead back. Short kick. Charles around the sidelines, and he gets drilled back around the 31-yard line. Justin Phillips downfield in a hurry. Well, we've seen a resurgence of this offense in the second quarter. The Saskatchewan big play offense started the season red hot. You see in the first 5 games they had 19 runs for over 20 or passes for over 30, but they've had just 4 in the last 5 games, 2 in the first half tonight.
In the last 5 games they have attempted those big plays and just haven't been hitting them, missing them by 1.5 yards here or there. But that play to Weston Dressler may get them back on track for those big plays.
77 yards to Dressler. And now they Go to work at the 33. Canes, who has had limited action so far tonight, did not much there.
The last time these two teams played, it was tied at the half. And again, the Calgary Stampeders came out guns blazing in the third, and that was the difference. Now a 1-point game, basically, with time to go here, but at this point a 1-point game. And that very important third quarter, and which team can make the adjustments necessary.
2nd and 9, and now the Stampeders look for the stop and chance to get the ball back and add to the lead. Durant hit as he throws downfield for Rob Bagg, and too far for Bagg, and once again Darian Durant hit as he delivered the football.
And you're wondering why those big plays have fallen off in the last 5 games. I would suggest that the reason has been that Darian Durant, and I'm not trying to give him an alibi, but Darian Durant has been under duress and under pressure a lot more in the last 5 games than he was in the first. And when a quarterback's being hit like that as he's throwing, or just prior to it has a man in his face like that, his accuracy is off.
Big Mike Labinjo. Clock stopped, just under a minute to go. Both teams have used their timeout here in the first half. Johnson not a deep kick. On the bounce, Murphy will get the 5-yard, no yards penalty. And Calgary have the ball around the 38-yard line.
Yeah, and there's time. There's time. It'll be interesting to see Henry Burris come out. 49 seconds, plenty of time to certainly get field goal range.
You saw on that.
No yards. Saskatchewan number 46. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Saw on that big play stat that Calgary's offense has been more productive in that department in the last 5 games. Dave Dickinson mentioned that he was rather conservative early in his play calling in the first 5 games of the year, but they've been more aggressive and they've made bigger plays. Dr. Reynolds, good first down run to the 44-yard line, but the clock will be rolling here.
Henry Burris will call the plays on the line of scrimmage now. Try and get his team in field goal range. Don't be surprised in the second half to see Calgary go with a lot more run game against an undersized front 7.
2nd and 3. Long out. Rambo's got it. Lance Fraser will bump him out at the 53-yard line. Stamp stopped the clock. 29 seconds left, and they have a first down.
Good awareness on the field there from Kenyon Rambo to know exactly where he was and what is at stake here in this first half. Try and get out of bounds, try and grab a couple extra there, and then stop the clock as quickly as he can. 2 first downs away.
Trying to get into Rob Beaver range. 2 for 8 from outside the 40. There's Lewis to catch, and Lewis tumbles forward close to another first down at the Roughrider 48-yard line, and they've got time for a few more plays to get it closer.
Probably get 3, maybe 4 if you're really quick for Henry Burris. 3 comfortably, and if he can get a big chunk here, 15-yard or some of that intermediate zone, he might take a shot at the end zone.
2nd and 1. They're going to throw. Burris with time and an open man, and the Roughriders trying to sell that no catch was made, but they're going to mark Kenyon Rambo at the 28.
Well, this is what I meant. In 2nd and 1, they go down the field to Kenyon Rambo. They take a chunk here. Now Henry Burris could go to the end zone. He's got time. Did Kenyon Rambo maintain possession and catch that football? He did have his hands under it, but it looked like the point of it may have touched the ground. No challenge flag yet.
They're going to come out or not. They're going to hold on to it, and the Stamps get away with that. Nice fake, and Nick Lewis with the ball, and brought down out of bounds. Down at the 15-yard line. And I'm a little surprised we did not see a Rough Rider challenge.
Well, let's go back to the play before. One more look. Kenyon Rambo, because this is chip shot field goal range for Calgary, and you can see the tip of the football right there comes out and is touching the ground. Now that means that he used the ground to secure the catch, which would be ruled incomplete, but there was no challenge in time. A play was run. Now Maver gets the chip shot. A little surprised on that play call if you're not going to go for the end zone.
And there's 1 second remaining, so they just get it to Maver, and he will put it through. So a valuable 3 points to end the first half as the Stampeders have a 4-point lead after 30 minutes at Mosaic.
Friday Night Football, baby. It's always live on TSN. Let's go. Let's go.
It's a good one at Mosaic tonight. Calgary by 4, and Sarah Orlesky's with the Saskatchewan coach, Ken Miller.
Coach, in that first half, your team finally got some of the offense that they were looking for in recent games. What was the biggest difference?
Well, we got some protection, and we were able to get, just make some completions. We got Darian some time, and now the thing we need to do is work on our consistency and mix in those big plays.
Overall, how did you feel your team did in that first half?
Well, we competed very, very well. We just have to bear down now and play a hard 30 minutes of football right now.
Thanks for this, Coach.
Thank you.
Roughriders came back from an early 10-0 deficit to lead, and then 10 straight points for Calgary at the end of the first half. You mentioned the Calgary defensive record in the third quarter. They have not allowed a point in the last 3 games in the third quarter of those games.
Yeah, this is where they lock it down. Now Calgary will start with the football. We see Henry Burris first, but 18 points in 10 games for that defense for the Calgary Stampeders in third quarters. So the pressure is on Darian Durant.
Stamps will get the football and have the wind in the third quarter. 20-16 as Eddie Johnson kicks off the second half. And that ball taken by one of the up men. Up around the 40-yard line.
Good field position for Henry Burris to start this as he consults with Dave Dickinson, who is calling the plays in his headset. Take a look at his numbers after the first half. 16-20, good completion percentage, and then so 135 yards. He has yet to find the end zone on a touchdown pass for the last time these two teams played for Henry Burris.
Has had multiple touchdown pass games in every game since being shut out in week 1. Joffrey Reynolds tripped up at the line of scrimmage, brought down by the rookie Shamari Williams.
Shamari Williams likely gets more playing time in this second half that he's seen all season with the injury to Brent Hawkins, a banged up Marcus Adams, and Shamari Williams, the first-round draft pick, playing defensive end. Can play linebacker as well. Cuts underneath the block of Nick Lewis and makes a nice play.
Number 1 pick overall, and we're told that Brent Hawkins is out for the rest of the game with that injured shoulder. 2nd and 10. Pressure off the edge, and Nick Lewis breaks 2 tackles, and he'll be stopped short at the 48. Boy, he is a tough man to bring down, the leading yak yard man in the Canadian Football League.
Yards after the catch, and it's so important to rank just who is the best receivers in the league, because these are those yards that you have to go out and earn, take hits for, and no one better than Nick Lewis in 2010 in yards after the catch. And Darius Bowman right behind him for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's Arlan Bruce, who we will see tomorrow night.
For Brick Dales on 3rd down. Weston Dressler from his 13. And Dressler brought down after a short return. Saskatchewan football. when we come back. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Stampeders are 2-out on their first possession of this second half, and now the Saskatchewan Roughriders go to work from their own 17 against a defense that has not allowed a third-quarter touchdown all year. 6 receivers, quick hitter, Wes Cates, and Brandon Browner right there on the corner for the Stampeders.
Take a look at Darian Durant in the first half. Did get the one big play to Weston Dressler, 173 yards passing, but you can see the completion percentage not great, 5 of 15. And there finally, as Dave Randorf mentioned at halftime, that touchdown pass. 108 attempts coming into this game without one. And 3 straight games, he's finally bumped that slump.
First and 14 quarters, 2nd and 7. And he looks for Fantuz, and he's got the catch. Andy Fantuz a first down up at the 35-yard line, 4th catch of the game.
And Andy Fantuz leads the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and coming into this weekend was tied for the league lead in second down conversion catches. Catches that either move the chains for the offense, or if you don't make them, your offense is punting. And Andy Fantuz leads his team and the league.
Here's Dressler on the sweep. Gets a block from Cates, but a flag down. And this one likely coming back.
8 carries for Weston Dressler. They'll throw this into the offensive game plan every now and then to just try and keep the defense honest and not key too far.
Saskatchewan number 64, 10-yard penalty.
It's the right tackle, Dan Goodspeed, who expresses his concern with the call.
With the mic open as Dan Goodspeed walks by. And how was that a hold?
So that negates the play and sets up 1st and 20 back at the 25. Six receivers out again, and over the middle for Getzlaff, incomplete. I don't believe Chris Getzlaff has caught one tonight. 6 of his 10 career touchdowns against the Stampeders.
Yeah, he likes to play Calgary. In his last 3 games against them, he has 4 of those touchdowns, including that 65-yarder last year. The Saskatchewan Roughriders beat Calgary in Calgary, and that ball just a little bit behind him. And this time you really can't put it on the pass rush. That one goes right on number 4, and he knows it.
First time tonight we see this one-down lineman set of the Stampeders. Pitch to Dressler, not going anywhere. Snuffed out again by the all-CFL corner, Brandon Browner.
Now he steps up, and he'll always play that bump coverage, play up in your face coverage. It's an aggressive style of defense. They do give up the odd big play. We saw one in the first half, but no one likes to hit more than Brandon Browner, who has 27 tackles coming into this game.
Eddie Johnson to kick it away. Dion Murphy awaits at the Stampeder 45. And that one bouncing across midfield. Murphy picks it up and crosses the center field stripe. We have a penalty on the play. Johnson was jostling, I think, with Brandon Smith. We'll see if that was the source of the infraction.
This is going against the Calgary Stampeders. Eddie Johnson got flattened. I believe it was Keon Raymond.
On the return, illegal block. Calgary number 25, 10-yard penalty. First.
It is Keon Raymond. They'll march it back 10 when we come back. Stampeder football. Well, our sack tally is brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Well, the BC Lions, big week last week against the Toronto Argonauts. They get the 29. They get the big check mark. They play tomorrow night. Calgary, 28 right behind them coming in.
But no checks tonight.
No checks tonight.
No sacks yet. Stamps start at their own 45. Big to Reynolds. Burris gets it away. Nick Lewis. And again, look how tough it is to bring Nick Lewis down. He close to a first down, and we've got an injured Saskatchewan Roughrider at midfield. I think that's Daniel Francis, who was grasping a knee.
Brent Hawkins will not return. Marcus Adams is gutting it out for Saskatchewan, and now starting linebacker Daniel Francis down. Now they can move Tad Cornegay from wide side corner. We'll see how they juggle it.
NFL action continues Sunday night here on TSN. Battle of the Mannings. Eli and the Giants take on Peyton and the Colts. Live coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Colts losing in week 1. Daniel Francis walked off, and you'll be surprised he did after watching this.
Number 35, his own player, Marcus Adams, rolled on his left knee, but he did walk off.
Kai Stewart in to replace him. First down, they fake and want to go deep. Kenyon Rambo, and the ball fell short because Henry Burris got tagged by Kai Stewart. Big hit by the blitzing linebacker.
Well, and he doesn't disguise anything. He's going over Ben Archibald, the left tackle, I believe it is, at the top of your screen. As he's going off the edge here, he just beats him to the inside. They actually play a tight end. It's Rob Cody, the fullback.
So it's 2nd and 10. Here comes the pressure. Burris stands in, and that one is dropped incomplete. Looked like it had been intercepted. But a nice break up on the play by Lance Frazier. And almost picked up on the tip.
Well, it is a big play by Lance Frazier, and he's bounced back from a week ago where he had a couple of penalties. Now Nick Lewis is going to end up cutting across the middle. Number 15 closing in a hurry and does not pull the jersey from the back, and therefore does not get the pass interference call. Kyle Stewart almost had an interception on the tip.
Dressler backed into the corner. Another great Burkdale's kick. And Dressler swamped at the 6.
It is Armed Forces Night here in Mosaic Stadium, and it's also Friday night, which means we get the chance to salute our troops in the Canadian Forces. Chief of Land Staff Lieutenant General Peter Devlin is the highest ranking commissioned officer in the Army. Observing here recent maneuvers at CFB Wainwright. The training tempo is fast, not scripted, and even includes live fire. This is the final combat conditioning for our troops before being deployed to overseas and domestic operations. So meet Lieutenant General Peter Devlin.
And there are some of the armed forces who are involved in pre-ceremonies here at Mosaic. Roughriders starting the hole, and this play doesn't get off. And the field will get even longer for Saskatchewan.
Legal procedure. Saskatchewan number 60. Half the distance from goal line. It remains first down.
Of course, we always want to thank our Canadian forces and our allied forces who are serving around the world, serving in the conflict in Afghanistan. 152 Canadian heroes have been killed in that war. We thank them for what they do every single day to make our way of life a better place in our world, a better place to live.
There's a catch for Chris Getzlaff on 1st and 13. He wants a horse collar call. No flags on the turf, but Getzlaff has a catch.
Well, it gets him in a manageable situation, though, Chris, because you get in second and medium here, and Chris Getzlaf thought he should have got that horse collar. Let's take a look. It's Dwight Anderson. I don't think he pulled him backwards from the horse collar. It tackled him high, no question.
So 9 for Getzlaf is 2nd and 4. And into the hands of Cates out of the backfield. Malik Jackson will push him out, but the Roughriders get a big first down at the 23.
And a big series for Darian Durant, not only to try and get out of this bad field position, but also to see if he can crack the code that is this Calgary defense in third quarters, and see if he can find the end zone. But first things first, he needs to get out of this bad field position.
Cates releases underneath, and there's Kerry Cope. In his first game, first catch, replacing Priche Rodriguez, who was released by the team after the loss in the Banjo Bowl.
Now, Priche Rodriguez had 30 catches, but it was just a chance to possibly take a look at Kerry Coke and see if they couldn't upgrade at the position. He's got good speed, 6 foot, just shy of 200 pounds out of Virginia.
And doesn't have much time to make an impression with Ryan Grace Mullen in camp now. And almost was impressive enough to get in the lineup after just a few days. That crosser knocked down, and
Michael Labinjo he almost caught that. Labinjo has been focusing in and getting his radar tuned into these throws. He's had a couple that he's been very close, and he doesn't get penetration here, so he decides to just time it up at the line. And working on Gene Mikowski, he has both hands on that ball. It tips around. He almost has it between his legs.
That's the 8th knockdown by a member of the Calgary front four this year. Saskatchewan Roughriders don't have any. 2nd and 10, big pressure. Dressler can't make the one-handed grab.
Well, this has been about half a dozen now that I've counted that Darian Durant has had to pick himself up off the turf just after throwing the ball, and the accuracy of the ball adjusted because of it. He's coming off the top of your screen here, and the full blitz from Juwan Simpson. Calgary Stampeders showing they're coming with 5. Malik Jackson at the bottom, and that's a big hit on Darian Durant.
So Eddie Johnson gets set to kick it away into the wind. Dion Murphy, 41-yard line, and running back. And Murphy's going to be brought down at the 35. So a loss of 6 on that return. Welcome back to Mosaic. Let's go back to the sidelines and Sarah Orleski.
Chris, there's been a lot of speculation lately that the Stampeders may be looking to sign Canadian running back Jesse Lumsden. Lumsden, of course, hasn't played a game since the first game of the 2009 season when he was injured while suiting up for the Edmonton Eskimos. The Stampeders have admitted that they are in talks with Lumsden, and Hufnagel says that he plans to speak to Jesse when they return to Calgary. Players have been receptive to the idea of Lumsden joining the team, saying that if he is healthy, he will be added depth in their backfield. And of course, being a Canadian can never hurt when it comes to the ratio.
John Cornish, of course, a Canadian running back, stopped short there. But the rich may be getting richer.
Yeah, and you know, I know a lot of fans in Calgary were questioning this and whether or not this was a good idea for John Hufnagel to go after Jesse Lumsden with a guy like Joffrey Reynolds as your starter and John Cornish as your backup. I like the idea for a couple of reasons.
2nd and 10. Force over the middle, and it is intercepted. James Patrick has his 8. Picked that one off his shoe tops. And the Roughriders have the football at the Calgary 39.
Well, let's see if he gets this off the turf or whether or not he uses the turf to help him catch it. It would be his 8th. I mentioned off the top of the show, he had 2 taken off the board last week by penalty. Here it is right here, a low throw. He has to go down to the shoe tops. Now, did that bounce off the turf and into his hands?
John Hufnagel has both of his challenges, and he will surely exercise one here.
Just watch the ball right in that spot right there. Is that ball looked like it touched the ground there, bounced up into his hands.
Calgary's challenging the ruling on the field that the pass was intercepted.
You know, but good on James Patrick to just continue on.
So it looks like James Patrick's going to be unsuccessful for a 3rd time to get to 8 interceptions. The last Rough Rider with 8 interceptions is standing to my right. Back in 91. The Rough Rider record 11 set by Terry Irvin back in 84.
Well, it's so strange what's happened to James Patrick in the last game and a half. I mean, 2 Lance Frazier penalties against Winnipeg take interceptions away from James Patrick. He would have 9 coming in. That was inches away from being what should have been his 10th interception on the season. And this is how close it is. Another angle here, but that first angle was pretty clear. We saw it hit the ground, and I'm certainly cheering for James Patrick to go ahead and get his 8th with the way things have gone on.
And Huff didn't even have to take the challenge flag out of the pocket.
I don't think there's any question here.
The 2 interceptions that were negated by penalty last week, both in the end zone.
Now that was 2nd down, so the other ruling is incomplete, which means Calgary would be punting the ball anyway. But big difference in field position here. I don't think there's any question, though, that bounced. And if James Patrick is on the punt return team, then he's getting prepared. He might have got the call there saying, yeah, don't count on that one.
Boy, he has been hot of late, though, making plays, hasn't he? In the right spot.
After review, the pass is incomplete. It's Calgary ball, 3rd down.
So the punt team does come on for the Stampeders. Just under 5.5 minutes remaining here in the 3rd quarter. That's the 5th 2-and-out of the game for Calgary. Despite leading in so many offensive categories, an area that John Hufnagel has been a little concerned about.
Yeah, 9-1 team, and they're certainly not satisfied with the way they played. Don't think they played the perfect game. He wants to shore up his coverage teams a little bit. He'd like to see his tackling continue to improve on defense, although I don't know how you improve this defense.
Burkdale's Weston Dressler on the run. Flag down as Dressler took off across midfield. And that flag well away from Dressler's return.
Well, it was clearly not no yards.
The return, holding. Saskatchewan number 99. 10-yard penalty.
The rookie, Shamari Williams.
That's a big one.
A costly penalty on the Rough Riders punt return team. Well, hockey's back on TSN Wednesday night. The NHL on TSN drops the puck on its preseason coverage as the Senators and the Maple Leafs tangle. Live coverage 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Time of year again when the temperature drops. Hockey's back and the football games get a little more important. Darian Durant has Andy Fantuz. And Fantuz taken down by Malik Jackson. Up at the 45, it's a Rough Rider first down.
I mentioned time and space for Andy Fantuz, and boy, does he demonstrated on that play, because he had an out route there, and he saw that Wes Lysak had dropped beside him, so he just sat down nicely, and it gave big target for Darian Durant to just read his body language, see that he's not going to continue on with the out, and turn it up into middle, and basically becomes a curl route.
17 for Fantu, so it's a 100-yard game, his second of the year. 5 catches and an even 100. Durant will step up. And now throws, and he's got a complete no. Fantu's dropped it. Dropped it near the first down chain, and he hears from the Calgary bench on the drop, and a rare one for number 83.
It was a fastball from Darian Durant, no question about that, but Andy Fantu's very sure hands out of Western Ontario. Durant puts everything in this one as he's rolling that direction.
So for the 8th time tonight, it's 2nd and 10 Saskatchewan. Durant looking downfield, and he's got the receiver. Jason Claremont's got it. His biggest catch of the season. And the fans erupt here at Mosaic, 33 yards. His biggest play as a Rough Rider.
And just his 4th catch of the season. Jason Claremont, who everyone in this province have been sort of waiting and hoping for him to be more involved in the offense, may have made one of the biggest plays of the regular season for his football team right there. We'll see how this develops, but his veteran savvy to time it up to come back as that ball is slightly underthrown.
Just his 4th catch of the season, and it goes for 35. Now Tate's wide open. Oh, Hugh Charles skipping in. Touchdown. And the trademark backflip. As finally, Calgary surrenders a 3rd quarter touchdown.
First one all season long. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have just cracked the code.
And Darian Durant knew from the time he hit the line of scrimmage, that was a Rough Rider touchdown.
And the benefits of a running quarterback.
So the Rough Riders get the lead back, 5th lead change in the game. And Conti makes it a 3-point Rough Rider lead. Late 3rd quarter. And a 30-yard rump for Hugh Charles.
The benefits of a running quarterback in Darian Durant. There was one man for the Calgary Stampeders who could have made that play, and that was Brandon Isaac.
Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
Darian Durant is going to continue on to his left. Now watch Brandon Isaac. He'll come into your screen right there. Freeze it there, guys. There's Brandon Isaac. He is so concerned with contain here on Darian Durant that he opens up an enormous gate for Hugh Charles to run through. And as soon as he sees that opening, goodbye. Hugh Charles is gone.
2nd touchdown of the year for Charles, his biggest run of the season. And a guy that hasn't been in the lineup since week 4, and Ken Miller had wanted to get him in, but 2 unlikely offensive stars, Jason Claremont and Hugh Charles, and Dion Murphy will run this out at the 38-yard line.
Everyone here in this province so pumped up when Jason Claremont was signed and brought back home to Saskatchewan. He set up this touchdown. Hugh Charles, he doesn't even, Darian Durant does not even wait for Charles to get in the end zone. He's got his hand in the air and is running to the bench when he was about 15 yards away from that goal line.
Stamps responded the last time they were down. Play action fake, Burris in trouble.
Oh, look out.
Got away with one. Look who was around the football again. James Patrick stepped in front of Kenyon Rambo, and Henry Burris fortunate that hit the turf.
You know, Dave Dickinson has called a lot of these plays. This is that zone read play where the running back, Joffrey Reynolds, goes and hits the line. Now, Henry Burris holds it in his stomach. He's been pulling it a ton. And the reason he pulls it here is because Shamari Williams comes down and plays run. So he pulls it, but Williams is able to react, redirect, cause problems for Burris.
Big Baron Simpson in there too. 7th, 2nd and 10 for Calgary. And that one out of room to Robbie Bryant. What a fastball from Henry Burris. And a big first down for the Stampeders in Saskatchewan territory.
He had to throw it, Chris, in the hole, and he guns it in there. I mean, this is a accurate bullet right down the rail. Robbie Bryant has deep over the top coverage, and Henry Burris has a throwing lane, but a small window to get it into it. He puts too much air on it. Chris McKenzie takes it.
27 yards, and now Joffrey Reynolds with a cutback in the hole. And James Patrick just tripped him up. Reynolds pounding it down to the 30. Back-to-back first down plays for Calgary.
You know, sometimes Dave Dickinson is going to call a running play, and it'll be that zone read play, and then it's up to the quarterback to decide. There's no decision to be made here for Henry Burris. He's just going to turn around to his right, hand it off. No decision there. So Dickinson changes things up, and what a hole that Joffrey Reynolds has. Dickinson changes it up and says, no more decisions. We're going to run the ball on this play.
15 for Reynolds. Dion Murphy now, the fake sweep, and they dump it off. And it's John Cornish still going. Cornish, touchdown. And the Stampeders answer right back.
Unreal. How did Henry Burris get that football out of there? He had a defender in his face and somehow got it to John Cornish, and John Cornish does the rest. Cornish starts to the left of the formation, the left of Henry Burris. You see him, number 9. Now he's going to cut across. Look at the pressure. Somehow Henry Burris got it out of there, and then John Cornish does the rest. Single season rushing leader at the University of Kansas.
First touchdown reception. You see the emotion on that Stampeders sideline as we've had the 6th lead change of the night.
What a response by the Calgary offense. Shamari Williams again off the edge, number 99. He steps up. Now he is right in the face of Henry Burris. He decides to go low, tackle him right around the waist. And Henry Burris, almost like a point guard in basketball, jumps up, drops it off to John Cornish. And there's some pretty open field running.
First touchdown of the year for John Cornish. And again, Ken Miller expressed yesterday the concern with the different rhythm that John Cornish brings when he comes in place of Joffrey Reynolds, who pounded it for 15, and then the change up from John Cornish for a 30-yard pass and run touchdown.
Well, defensively it's difficult because you're used to bowing your neck and getting ready for contact against Joffrey Reynolds, and then all of a sudden they make the change. Cornish comes in, and now you're just trying to keep quick feet and trying to rally him because he's got that great breakaway speed.
Well, we were due for one of these, and this game living up to the pre-game anticipation. Hugh Charles is back. From his 15-yard line. And Charles popped as he crossed the 35. 23 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. Roughriders will have the wind in the 4th.
Henry Burris, after that big drive and response, what do great leaders do? He threw that bullet down the sideline of Robbie Bryant. He got the ball out of there to John Cornish, and then he went over there and pumped up his defense, said, this is right now. Right now is a turning point in the game, the most important part of this football game. That was some kind of response from Henry Burris.
10 straight multi-touchdown passing games for Henry Burris. Now 25 on the year. Wes Cates up across the 40. Close to 4 for Cates on. Well, we'll get one more play in this 3rd quarter.
Got pretty quiet in Mosaic Stadium all of a sudden.
After Darian Durant had electrified with first that completion to Claremont and then the touchdown run by Hugh Charles, but the Stampeders answer with a touchdown drive of their own. 2nd and 7. Wants Fantus. Foot race. Brandon Brown will bring him down at the 16. But another big play for Saskatchewan as Darian Durant hooks up with Andy Fantus. Final play of this 3rd quarter. And it's a big one. 57 yards. 3rd quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL. And with that pass to Andy Fantus, Darian Durant over 300 yards on the night.
Yeah, and you can't take away the importance for Saskatchewan of a 3rd quarter touchdown against the Calgary Stampeder defense that had not given up a major in a 3rd quarter yet this season. Hugh Charles' touchdown there had to give them confidence. They cracked the code when it came to the 3rd quarter, and now we got a game.
Yes, we do. We've got 2 heavyweights trading big-time blows. Saskatchewan scores, Calgary answers, and it looks like Saskatchewan poised to answer back. Well, Brandon Browner tracking down Andy Fantus to prevent the touchdown. Fantus enjoying his biggest night of the season.
And that was his longest reception of the season. His long coming in was 37 yards. For some reason, Brandon Browner was in the middle of the field there.
No touchdowns for Fantus in 7 games. Durant fumbles the snap and has to eat the football. 2nd time we've seen that happen tonight.
Let's go back to that big play by Andy Fantus. Brandon Browner ends up coming down in here. Now, Chris Jones has some sort of different lineup where he's got his corner down in the middle. Now, as they come out of there, you're going to see 3 Calgary defenders right here, 1, 2, and 3, all trying to face off to Weston Dressler and not allow him in the middle. Well, on the backside of that play, Andy Fantus is going 57 yards with the ball.
Another 2nd and 10 from the 18-yard line. Got that 2nd and longer after the loss, and down to the 10-yard line. Jason Claremont, another catch, but the field goal unit will come on, and they squander a chance after that misplayed snap on 1st down.
Yeah, a big chance, and it was the fumble, and you're right, that small little mistake makes a big difference because they could have got a 1st down without scoring as well. And the 2nd time, as you mentioned, that Darian Durant has taken his eyes off a shotgun snap for just a split second and at the wrong time.
So from 18 yards out, Kanji gets the Roughriders within 1. 1-point Calgary lead early, 4th quarter. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2011 GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job.
LaRon Mitchell will move to the wide side corner. He's the backup defensive back out of Western Ontario. And they'll move Tad Cornegay into linebacker to replace Daniel Francis, injured earlier.
Normal spot for Cornegay, who is so versatile. He can be inserted in a number of positions on that Saskatchewan defense. And there's a quick hitter to Nick Lewis, who has become the number 3 all-time receiver in Calgary Stampeder history. Went by Travis Moore tonight.
His best season was back in 08 with 1,379 yards. I mentioned he's on pace for just over 1,300. I won't be surprised, though, if they try to go wide to either Romney Bryant or R.J. Franklin on the outside to test LaRon Mitchell.
7 for 77 in the game for Nick Lewis. 14 on the last catch. And now it's R.J. Franklin with the grab over midfield. And R.J. Franklin has another Calgary 1st down. So Nick Lewis continues to climb the ladder. Now 3rd all-time, and
the next guy, yeah,
Tom Forzani.
The next guy to catch is Tom Forzani, and John is dressed in on the sideline.
And his son, Johnny Forzani, Stamps with back-to-back first downs. Working against the wind. Burris wants to go deep. And he's got Kenyon Rambo inside the 10. And the Roughriders trying to tackle the football, but Rambo holds on for another big Calgary gain.
You know, I had just mentioned that I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Calgary Stampeders try and go wide to the wide receivers and see if they can get a matchup on LaRon Mitchell. But guess what? That's not LaRon Mitchell. That's their veteran corner, Omar Morgan. And he gets the double move from Kenyon Rambo. Great route running by 8'5". And then a little throw behind, he comes back and secures the catch.
43 yards, last 3 possessions for the Stamps in the red zone. Couple field goals and a touchdown. First and goal. Burris in trouble and down at the 15. First sack of the game.
There's a flag down. And Nick Lewis, who was trying to run an inside route on Omar Morgan, he signaled right away. He turned around right to the official.
Little contact on the receiver. Saskatchewan number 99. Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
That's the rookie, Shamari Williams.
Yeah, and he was on the same side as Nick Lewis. And Nick Lewis turned around, and his reaction was automatic. And there is the absolute tackle by Shamari Williams.
Wipes out the Baron Simpson sack, and first and goal now at the 3. Joffrey Reynolds, touchdown, and an easy one. As the Stamps increase their lead.
Boy, just the little things that add up. A penalty by Shamari Williams, tackling Nick Lewis, that takes a sack off the board. Almost impossible field position for the Calgary Stampeders. They get the penalty, they get the first down, they move it up, and Joffrey Reynolds walks in.
Back-to-back touchdown drive for the Stamps. Maver adds the extra point. 8-point Calgary lead. 10:40 left. Fourth quarter. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL, and by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right. Touchdown run for Joffrey Reynolds, his 5th of the season.
Nice blocking up front by the O-line, but remember, there have been some injuries in that Saskatchewan front 7. No Marcus Adams, no Brent Hawkins at defensive end. Adams has been trying to gut it out, but he couldn't play on the goal line on Joffrey Reynolds' touchdown.
Maver kicks it off. On the ground, Stu Ford having trouble finding it, and he won't go anywhere. Robbie Bryant quickly downfield.
Marcus Adams, one of the great run stoppers as an interior defensive lineman at about 280 pounds. But when it's Kitwana Jones, who is right here, he is much lighter, and now they're down blocks by Calgary. Luke Mullender to his right, 95, is going to try and compensate by closing the gap, but watch how 26 just gets driven 4 or 5 yards out of the middle. Kitwana Jones at 225.
Back-to-back touchdowns for Calgary. Saskatchewan has a touchdown and a field goal in their last 2 possessions. And a completion over the middle, and Andy Fantuz another catch as he chalks up his 7th of the game. First down up at the 40.
Andy Fantuz having a big night. Will it be enough for the Saskatchewan Roughriders to keep their perfect home streak at 5-0 in 2010 alive? And he took a pretty good hit there.
Taking a couple real big jolts tonight, but up to 174 yards. Wes Cates will try the left offside. And Gates gets thrown out and not much there. Ball popped loose at the end of the play, but Keats whistled down, and it's getting hot out there. Defense imploring John Huffnagel to throw the challenge flag, but I think Huff could see that that play was whistled down. Somebody just threw the football into the end zone.
Well, let's take a look again. Wes Cates, is he down? Brandon Isaac has him there. He's not down by contact yet.
And he doesn't have to challenge because the ball was stripped out of there, and Calgary's got the football.
And it was just before he hit the ground, Brandon Isaac pulled it out. I was wondering why Brandon Isaac was so pumped up on the sideline talking to John Huffnagel about the challenge flag. He stole the football.
He didn't have to challenge it. The officials looked like they were ruling Keats was down, but they do turn it over on the fumble. And there's R.J. Franklin with a catch tossed out by Sean Lucas.
Well, let's go back one more time because it had looked like it was a routine tackle. Wes Cates was down, but Brandon Isaac was up jumping around at the sideline, and as the officials sort of huddled up, they just quietly said, Calgary football.
First down, John Cornish off the left side, and he's angled out. Another good first down run by Cornish. Marked out at the 23-yard line, close to 8 more, and that's about his season average.
Early on, Sarah was talking about Jesse Lumsden and the possibility of him signing with the Calgary Stampeders. I mentioned there's a couple of reasons that this is a good decision. First of all, they've got a great 1-2 punch going, and the fact that John Cornish is Canadian really helps John Huffnagel. So a backup for John Cornish is huge. Plus, you know the upside potential of Jesse Lumsden, another weapon possibly.
And he has played some fullback. May also be in there for Cote, 2nd and 2, and I don't know. Not much, but Cornish able to fall forward, and it's like he should be close to another first down.
Some of the little things you think about in this game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the reason that they're trying to catch up here. A couple of fumbles in the red zone. That 3 for the Saskatchewan offense. A bad penalty by Shamari Williams at the wrong time that set up the last touchdown by Joffrey Reynolds. All those little things start to add up, and against a good football team, Calgary Stampeders, the best team in the league at this point in the season.
Cornish was stopped short as they marked him back at the 24. So Rob Neighbor in to attempt this from 30 yards out. And Rob Neighbor's ironed things out and puts another one through. And the lead now is 11. Tonight's game story brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Third play of the game. Milton Collins takes a 54-yard interception return to the house. Andy Fantuz with a big night so far, but Darian Durant's going to need him in this final 7:57. Seen both running backs for both teams, Wes Cates and Hugh Charles, and John Cornish and Joffrey Reynolds.
5th straight game that Calgary has gone over 35 points. And it's a 2-score lead as the Roughriders scrimmage at their own 35. 6 receivers out, flagged down. They might have been offside as Coke has the catch, and what would be a first down, I think it's coming back.
The little things, the little things.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 6. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Rob Bagg jumped the gun.
2 offside. Weston Dressler at the top of the screen was offside as well. They could have said 6 or 7.
So it's 1st and 15. And they swing it out to Cates. And Wes Cates brought down at the 38. Has half the yardage to the first down.
Calgary Stampeders started the season with 2 straight wins, lost a close game to the Toronto Argonauts at Toronto, and have been on a winning streak ever since.
7 wins, the longest in the CFL since 2007. Last time the Stampeders won 8 in a row was 94. BC Lions with the last 7-game win streak, and again, Saskatchewan's 9-game win streak at home on the line. Big second down. Durant rolls, he's gonna have to run, and Darian Durant up to the 43-yard line. He's gonna be a yard, maybe 2 short of the first down.
Eric Fraser, the backup safety, and Brandon Browner had receivers covered well down at the bottom of the play right along the sideline that Darian Durant was rolling to.
And here's a decision. The fans starting to chant go here. Initially it looked like they were not, but now Darian Durant going back to the huddle on 3rd and a yard and a half.
And it looked to me like Ken Miller doesn't even want to look.
They're going to have to hurry here. They do get the play off. Is it going to be enough? It is. Wes Cates, big surge up to the 50.
Oh, and he got a big block by Chris Zarka, the tight end, because without the block from the Canuck truck, this might not have had a chance. Watch number 33 here just blow open a hole for Wes Cates to lean into. He gets that pad level down and just drives his legs. I believe it was Charleston Hughes got on roller skates. Without that block, they might have been in trouble.
Double tight ends, first down. Up at the 49. Time for Durant. Looking for Fantus. Got it. What a night for Andy Fantus and the Roughriders. Aren't done yet.
Calgary Stampeders were coming with pressure. And a nice block by the running back, Wes Cates. We've heard so many times Ken Miller talk about how good and all-around running back Wes Cates is. To be able to catch out of the backfield and pick up blitzers from the defense. That time the protection provided by his running back. He hits Andy Fantus, and Darian Durant has another touchdown pass.
First touchdown in 8 games for Fantus. An extraordinary night. 8 catches, 234 yards. His second best in his CFL career. The Roughriders, 7 of their last 7 in 2-point converts. Going for 2 here. Durant under pressure. And they got it. Kerry Koch holds on. And it's a 3-point Calgary lead.
He buys time, he extends the play. He allows his receivers to continue to work in the end zone. No one open initially, but Darian Durant buys some time. He's going to pay the price. He's going to get a little push. And there's a big hit down at the other end. Kerry Koch hangs on. Let's take a look at the touchdown again as Andy Fantus is having a monster night, and he's working on Milton Collins here. He knows it's blitz, so he just has to get to the hole. He has to get to the middle of the field. The ball laid right out in front of him. Collins tries to cut underneath. He gambles and loses. And we have a 3-point game. One more time on Wes Cates and this blitz pickup off the edge. Calgary Stampeders have had success in this game, especially in the first half. This time it's Brandon Isaac. He's coming off the edge. If he can go free here, there's no throw from Darian Durant, but he's allowed that extra second, and that second allows him to throw the touchdown.
Still over 4.5 minutes left. Over the head of Forzani, who lets it bounce, and is that going to reach the end line? It will. So it turned out to be a wise play, but boy, they rolled the dice there. No point. It'll come out to the 25.
Well, John Forzani was, I'm sure, praying by the time it was getting close to that white stripe, because if that ball lands in the end zone and doesn't get out, first of all, it's a live ball, so he has to go and recover it. But if he gives up a point here and that ball doesn't go out on its own, we're within a field goal. It's within a field goal for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and you can see him cheering that one through the back.
Yeah, the Brooms hurry hard. What a night for Andy Fantews. The CFL season high, of course, Arlen Bruce against the Roughriders, 272 yards on the final day of July. But Fantews may have time to top that. And reverse back to work. He's got an open man. Nick Lewis the catch. Dropped at the 31 as Kai Stewart cuts him down.
Now you see the cool, calm, and composure of Henry Burris, who is going to hear it from the Mosaic crowd. And he's got to try and get that play in. Played in situations like this many, many times. And has options here in 2nd and 3.
But he's got the 13th man to deal with. Thanks to Reynolds, got Cote incomplete. As Rob Cote was leveled right at the first down stick. Chris McKenzie separated Cote from the ball. 2 and out.
Chris McKenzie steps into this one because he's seen the play many times. Play action to Joffrey Reynolds. Fullback out of the backfield. He does not hesitate, and you're right, separates the football from the receiver. Calgary's going to have to punt this one away.
Dressler waits. Gales unloads, and Dressler on the run. And he'll be brought down inside his own 45. Randy Chevrier, the long snapper, downfield in a hurry. So 3:12 remaining. Darian Durant, 3 of his last 4 games have been season lows, but now with 428 in the game.
First game of the season that went to overtime, Montreal. Darian Durant had 478 in that one. That's a season high. Of course, there was double overtime in week 1.
3 times over 400 yards passing this season. Bumping the slump, but will it be enough? 4 receivers to this near side. Going the other way. Dressler's got it. Inside the 40 as they stretch out the vaunted Calgary defense. The 3-minute warning at Mosaic.
Big play by Weston Dressler. He's working here on Brandon Smith that I believe he thinks he has help to the middle. I'm going to show you the post pattern. Here comes Dressler across the middle right here. Now, I think Brandon Smith thought he was going to have Juwan Simpson back to help him in the middle. That's why he's playing the outside shade. He doesn't get a deep enough Juwan Simpson to help. Dressler makes the play behind him.
29 for Dressler. First down inside the 40. And the handoff not going very far. Wes Cates wrapped up by Brandon Isaac.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting positions on the field for the Saskatchewan Roughriders because you don't want to get too conservative. There's lots of time to play, but you're in field goal range to tie the game.
Not unlike last year's 44-44 overtime thriller at McMahon. 2nd and 8. And again, trouble on the snap, but no pressure. He'll take, no, he won't take off. He'll go deep. Brandon Browner falls, and the pass incomplete.
Oh my.
And Chris Getzlaff looking for a flag. And I think a lot of the fans surprised that Darian didn't take off.
Why did Darian? That's what they're saying. That's what everyone in this crowd is saying right now, is why Darian Durant didn't just take the first down, because he had it easily. First of all, he has trouble with the snap again. This time it wasn't his fault. This time it was center Jeremy O'Day. Now he has all kinds of room to run here. We're talking 15, 20 yards before Malik Jackson can close the corner. He throws it into double coverage. Little bit of contact, but no flag at that end.
Field goal unit slow to get on the field as they'll attempt a 44-yarder, or do they have something on? Kanji for the tie. Kanji's got it. Boy, they scrambled out a little late, but it certainly didn't affect Luka Kanji. And we're back on even terms with 2:08 to play.
Hitting on 80% of his field goals. Long was 54, so well within his range. But Luka Kanji had just 2 attempts in the last 4 games as this offense has struggled. But that's a big one. Kicker that hasn't had a chance to really be in a rhythm. And he nails that one to tie it up.
Most points scored against Calgary this year. Roughriders have 37, but it's still not enough. Cue the Mosaic fans. And the catch made by Jabari Arthur. Short gain, looks like 3. Henry Burris has used all his weapons and not unaccustomed to the hostile environment.
No, not at all. This is where Henry Burris' composure comes through. Saskatchewan Roughriders in this situation have shown blitz.
2nd and 7. Down count. Here comes the heat. Sean Lucas. Ball gets flipped out, and it'll be stopped short. Somehow, Burris got it away for a completion, but not enough. Big 2 and out for the Roughriders defense.
Team speed on defense. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to show blitz from their linebackers. That was Barron Simpson up in the line along with Mike McCullough. They were showing blitz, then they dropped out. Barron Simpson's going to make first contact. It was just straight 4-man pressure. Burris gets it to Joffrey Reynolds, but look at Barron Simpson.
Oh, shades of Steve Nash from Henry Burris. Great kick by Brett Dales. Dressler surrounded, taken down, short return again. Boy, that cover team's done a nice job for Calgary tonight. So, 84 seconds on the clock. Tie game. And Darian Durant leads the offense out to get into Luka Kanji range for the winner. Riders have scored 21 points on their last 5 drives, scoring on 4 of them.
Calgary Stampeders in this 4th quarter have shown a lot of man-to-man defense. Andy Fantuz has made them pay for that, so has Weston Dressel.
They need about 35 yards to get into Kanji range. There's a spike. Guess who? First down, Andy Fantuz.
Certainly Darian Durant does not have to press the issue here. He can continue to run his complete play package and his offense. But what a night for Andy Fantuz.
All-time best for Fantuz, up to 245 yards. 2nd best in the league this year. Quick hitter. He made that catch, and then the ball popped loose. Got a live football. Fantuz says no catch, and
well,
they're going to discuss it.
What is he saying? No catch, or that he was down after the catch?
Well, I think they're giving Fantuz the catch. Corey Mace, who came up with the football, is still down.
I thought initially that Andy Fantuz was twisted around and wasn't down on the field.
On the play, the ball carrier has been ruled down by contact. The command center is requesting a review of the play.
So they're going to review it. Let's take a look.
They're going to take another look. It looked like he twisted around. He got twisted by one of the defenders. There's the catch. So the catch is secured there. So it's not about whether it's complete or incomplete. Dwight Anderson throws him to the ground. I think he might have been down by contact. The backside hit the ground, and then the ball came out. Catch is secured. You know, he stretches that ball out with his left hand.
Almost simultaneous, the backside and the ball hit.
Upon review, the ruling on the field stands. Second down.
Well, that was a quick decision made by the command center before even seeing that third replay.
Looked like Fantus was trying to stretch out as he made contact with the ground to get another yard because he was short by a yard and a half. That was a risky play, and they're fortunate.
And a quick decision, but I think the right one.
2nd and 2. Cates. Wes Cates off the contact, slides forward for a big first down across midfield.
This situation now, the Calgary Stampeders start to think about tackling the football, trying to take chances to rip it out, cause a turnover. Another 8 to 10 yards, and Saskatchewan in Luka Kanji range.
Clock running. One more first down would likely do it. Durant's going to take off. Darian Durant down to the penalty, still going, and hits the deck at the 25. Ball popped loose again, and they're ruling him down again. 29 yards for Durant. We wondered if he should have run earlier. He picked the right time to do it there.
Yes, he did, and Darian Durant this time, you've got to believe after that last play where he had an open side and he decided not to run, this time he banked that and said, if I get a crease, I'm going to take it. A great decision. He's not running out of bounds at the end of the play either. He's trying to get in chip shot range.
So now they just will try and run it down one more play, or will they?
Looked like there was a personnel issue there for the Riders. Sandy Fantus coming to the sideline trying to get things squared away.
Well, if Luka Kanji can finish
Play
it.
has been ruled on the field that the ball carrier was down by contact. The replay official has requested a review.
Okay, they're going to take another look just to make sure.
Let's take another look at the end of the play, and Darian Durant. The official ruled that one quite quickly, that he was down by contact, tripped up there, so the contact has been made. That right hand doesn't count as down by contact, but the knees would. Again, once you've been contacted and you're in the air, like the Wes Cates play, once you've been contacted and in the air, any part of your body touching down first, including that forearm of the hand holding the football.
He still had control. The forearm made contact, ball popped loose. Less contentious, I think, than the previous one.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
The Fantus one will be discussed, I'm sure, in Calgary.
Fantus was a lot closer than that.
With the win, Saskatchewan would still be 4 points back. But one more game here against Calgary. Stampeders still have 2 against Montreal, so a win by the Roughriders would certainly leave the race for first very much alive as they try and line it up for Kanji.
Yeah, Darian Durant just trying to get that football to the middle of the field and off that left hash.
Kanji came into the night 16 of 17 from inside the 40 on the year.
Henry Burris coming off a game over 400 yards passing. Darian Durant over 400 yards passing tonight. If you're watching on the NFL Network, It happens quite often in the CFL.
I think we could say this is the best game since the season opener on the NFL Network. The classic between the Alouettes and the Roughriders here at Mosaic that went to overtime, 54-51. This was everything we anticipated and maybe a little bit more.
Now, if Saskatchewan are lining up for this field goal, if Luka Kanji should miss this, the Calgary Stampeders have got to get it out of the end zone, and they can kick it out.
Dion Murphy now goes back, so it's 35 for the, and now the Stampeders will try and freeze Kanji.
I mean, this is chip shot range for Luka Kanji. You mentioned 80% coming into this game. He's been solid. He hasn't had a lot of work over the last 4 games, but really should be a chip shot. But if he should miss this kick, Calgary Stampeders only have 1 man back. That's Dion Murphy in the end zone. He will have to get the ball out or give up a single.
So I was going to ask you, would you consider Eddie Johnson a punt? And now the punt team comes on, and I think this is a gamble. Now he's got to kick it 55 yards and through. The wind is at his back. But I'm not sure about this.
Yeah, neither am I, because that's chip shot range for Luka Kanji. He's got to kick it. He lines up 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage, not 7 like the field goal kicker. If he doesn't get all of it, the Calgary Stampeders can get this out of the end zone. I'm not sure I like this.
Wally Bono tried this a number of years ago at Mosaic and was unsuccessful. This is going to be talked about, I think, for a long time if it doesn't work.
Nope.
And that's not deep enough, but they're going to bring it out. Unbelievable. We are going to overtime. Dion Murphy easily brings that out. And that's not a lot of confidence in your kicker to try a 35-yarder. Overtime and a squandered opportunity to win it outright for the Roughriders.
Thank you.
Well, we started the season with an overtime thriller, and we've got another one tonight, and here's a look at it. Each team will get a maximum of 2 mini games. Each team will get a possession, and if they're still tied, they'll go to a second mini game starting at the 35.
Yeah, it starts at the 35-yard line. The team, I believe, who won the toss was the Calgary Stampeders, who elected to defend first. So John Huffnagel elects to defend and see what he is up against when he gets the ball.
And what's Ken Miller thinking right now? Let's go down to the sideline. Sarah Orleski.
Chris, before they kicked that punt, you had said that you felt that this was going to be something that was going to be talked about for a while. Well, a lot of shocked people here in the stadium that they decided to go for it. And I can tell you that players down here are very upset that they did not elect to go for the field goal.
Well, almost the perfect drive to get them into position, and then a highly contentious decision. They've got to bury that now and try and make something happen. Look at Jason Claremont. His second big catch of the night, his second big catch as a Roughrider, and a late flag at the end of the play as Claremont takes it to the 10, and he tells you what the flag's all about.
This might be yardage tacked on here.
Major foul, face mask.
Yeah.
Calgary number 28.
That's what I thought. That'll be half the distance. You know, in this situation, Chris, with that decision from Ken Miller and the team being upset, this is a team that loves playing for this man. And Ken Miller is one of those coaches that they go through a wall for. While this football team right now has an opportunity to try and bail out their head coach in what will, I'm sure, be talked about in that decision for a long, long time.
25 for Claremont and a first and goal. Direct snap, Wes Keats, touchdown. Second time he's done that tonight. 2 plays and the Roughriders do claim the lead, but Calgary gets to answer.
And just like that, the #1 ranked defense in the Canadian Football League has just given up 43 points. And yes, we are into the first overtime, but this Calgary defense ranked first in 19 of 25 defensive categories. Tonight, Saskatchewan has put some points on the board.
8th lead change of the game. Again, this year in overtime, they have to go for 2 points. We've seen Saskatchewan do that successfully tonight once, and now 8 for their last 8. Durant directs traffic. They just get it off, and it's knocked down, intended for Fantus, and what a play by Dwight Anderson.
Well, he just got there in time, and he got both hands on it, too, to rip it out of the hands of Andy Fantus. Looked like he was open right in the corner, and that opens the door for Calgary to go ahead and try and finish this game.
And the advantage for the Stampeders going second, winning the toss, is they know what they need.
Exactly. So the major is the first order of business for the Stamps. And then a 2-point convert can win it.
Again, a 7-game win streak on the line for the Stampeders. Roughriders trying to win their 10th straight at home. That's time for Burris. Got it. Kenyon Rambo with the catch at the 10.
All kinds of time. First of all for Burris, and a nice route again from Kenyon Rambo, who's going to run what's called that wheel route down the sideline. Kenyon Rambo, you need time to be able to run this kind of route where you go to the sideline and then turn it up, head right down the rail. Lance Fraser couldn't catch up.
6 catches, 115 for Rambo. First and goal at the 9. Lewis in motion. Short drop, Burris in trouble. Got it away and throws it away. He'll reload on 2nd and goal.
And 3-down football, of course, for the Calgary Stampeders. He did have an open Nick Lewis initially. Shamari Williams with a great spin move on Ben Archibald causes the problems, and that was a low hit. That's what Henry Burris was angry with from Kyle Stewart. No penalty flag thrown.
Second and goal. Out of the backfield, Joffrey Reynolds to the 3. And it comes down to one last play for the Stamps to try and get at least tied.
This is why when you win the toss, you elect to go offensively second, so you know what you're up against, and it comes down to one play. And they have to tighten up in that huddle because of the crowd noise.
Stamps need 3 for the tie. Here comes pressure. Burris to the end zone. Incomplete. No flags. And the Roughriders do win it in OT.
And the football team just bailed out their head coach.
Straight wins at home, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have ended the Calgary Stampeders' 7-game win streak. But they did it the hard way.
A decision by Ken Miller at the end of regulation that would have been talked about forever here in Saskatchewan. Nick Lewis, the intended receiver on the final play of this football game, and he just stumbles because he did have a step on Lance Fraser. He stumbles, goes down, the ball falls incomplete. Saskatchewan Roughriders, as a team, bail out a very controversial decision by their head coach at the end of regulation. But it won't matter now. Saskatchewan gets the win.
Darian Durant on the night, 499 yards, passing, 8 lead changes in the game. We had just about everything on a Friday night at Mosaic.
Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Time for the TSN turning point.
Well, it was the last play of the game, and it was the throw to Nick Lewis that falls incomplete. Final chance for the Calgary Stampeders. If they score there, they go for 2 points and the win. Nick Lewis strip, falls down. Saskatchewan hangs on to win.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. An honorable mention to that decision not to kick a field goal on the final play of regulation time. Wow. Just another thriller at Mosaic. Saskatchewan Roughriders moved to 7-4. They're still 4 points back of the 9-2 Stamps. But they get a big win here tonight, 43-37. So long from Regina. SportsCenter is next.